Yet another entity flees California. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about State Farm refusing to accept any new applications for business or personal property insurance throughout the entire state of California. Now, I can't say I'm surprised here because who isn't fleeing California, okay? Regular, everyday normies working hard for a living cannot survive in California. The crime's out of control. You got the wildfires happening, earthquakes, illegal aliens, ridiculous policies from San Fran, Sacramento, Los Angeles. It's a mess. People that have a lot of money, the rich are leaving. Your Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, they're all leaving because of the crazy tax policies. They're giving up all of their money to the state of California for them to waste and spend on complete nonsense. So now State Farm is joining the mix, saying, hey, you know what? These wildfires are a big concern. We're not going to accept any new personal or business property insurance throughout the entire state of California. Now, I think it's a good explanation as far as the wildfire concern, but are there no other states that have wildfires? I'm sure that California won't be the only state that State Farm is going to target. I mean, and I'm being serious when I say that, because State Farm also made the news earlier in the year because they refused to insure certain models of Kia and Hyundai cars because of this trend on TikTok where you had guys starting up the vehicles with an iPhone charger. Now, obviously, I don't think that's really State Farm's fault for these companies having ridiculous ways to break into a vehicle. Why would you insure these vehicles that have no security on them at all? It's just kind of ridiculous. The same way you might not want to issue property insurance in the state where there's no security as far as laws and as far as being able to stop all these wildfires. Kind of makes sense to me. But before I go any further, let's get into the news clip. If you want to see it in full without my commentary, link as always will be in the description. If you are on IG, visit the link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
California is a climate battlefield. In half a decade, residents have weathered whiplash from the worst wildfire season on record through a 23-year mega drought to catastrophic flooding after this year's outbreak of rainstorms.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
But less so now. Effective today, State Farm is no longer accepting applications for business or personal property insurance policies, citing California's catastrophe exposure and spiking construction costs. The move doesn't impact current home policy holders or auto insurance.
With the 5 years of intense wildfires and losses that we've had, we pretty much lost all our underwriting profit that we had.
Let's pause right there. So they're saying, hey, you know what? We're losing the profit. What are we going to do? You're a business and you have to kind of shift. But see, the problem, and I'm going to address it because I know you guys are maybe want me to do it. The problem is, hey, that's what you're there for, right? You're there for when catastrophes happen. And often you guys are required. In the case of the auto insurance, you guys are required. If I go purchase a new vehicle, if I go lease a new vehicle, especially, I must have full coverage insurance. And if I'm not able to find insurance, then I can't get the vehicle. And it could be the same way for some of this property. You got to have insurance on that, especially in a flood-prone area or a wildfire, earthquake-prone area. I got to have the insurance. And if I can't get it, now I can't get into the property game because of the way that the laws are. So this is kind of a weird situation. A company, of course, wants to protect their profits, but you're there for when catastrophes happen. I think maybe the only thing you could do to get beyond that, rather than just not issuing the new policies, is to increase your rates, which would just continue to make California a place that's not really where you want to go.
Had from the last 20 years.
Janet Ruiz with the Insurance Information Institute says part of the issue is California's Proposition 103, forcing insurance companies to require prior approval from the state's insurance department before implementing rates.
Oh, okay, I see. There we go. I was looking for it. As I knew it wasn't just about, because if you're watching the mainstream media, places like that, they're going to lead with, oh, it's a climate battlefield. It's a dog whistle, right? it's going to make you react to the whole thing about climate change. Oh, that's the reason why they don't want to do it. So you might kind of be on State Farm side and you won't even question California and their policy. But really, the big thing here is California's policy about what they say, Prop 103, that says that you got to have, it basically might cap the rates. So in order to combat what is happening in California with the wildfires and the floods and everything else, and also the lax policies when you're talking about people that steal and destroy property, to counteract that, they got to raise the rates. But Prop 103 prevents that from happening. So now we got a conundrum. So how about we just don't offer any new business or personal property insurance in the state at all?
Prop 103 has kept rates in California artificially low for admitted licensed carriers in the state. It needs to be modernized.
And it's not just California. Across the country, insurance companies are ditching disaster-vulnerable states like Texas, Louisiana, and Florida.
Where do you think you would be if you didn't have insurance?
Well, I would not be rebuilding my home. I might have left like others.
In Paradise, California, Jessica Bennett's family was among those who lost their home when the 2018 Camp Fire destroyed more than 18,000 structures.
I do feel like the insurance is what kept me here, though. And watching us rebuild the home and being able to like design it how you wanted it.
I will say this though, I'm gonna just kind of point the obvious out. Can I do that, or am I not allowed to do that on this platform? Here's the obvious: if you live in a highly fire-prone area and your house burned down, why would you rebuild right in the same spot? I don't understand. You know, I'm from Virginia. Of course, I live right there by the water, and I won't say every year, but very often, the Outer Banks would get hit by a hurricane or some kind of rainstorm or something. And then the road that goes to OBX, that'll always wash out. They always got to rebuild it every single year. I'm like, at a certain point, you got to understand, you probably shouldn't put a house that's like $400,000 right there. And I wouldn't blame an insurance company for refusing to insure you for flood insurance in a place that floods every single year. At a certain point, you got to do things that make sense. But that's just my humble opinion. If you live in California, I understand that you wouldn't stay right where you are. Although it could be a fire every 2 or 3 years that burns your whole house down. I get it. But at a certain point, you might want to think differently. Just aside from the whole State Farm kerfuffle.
It helped me, I think, with the healing process.
The Golden State, already battling a challenging climate, now facing increasing challenges to insure against disaster. Steve Patterson, NBC News, Los Angeles.
So there's a video. Again, I will link to that in the description box if you want to see it and hear it without my commentary. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of on State Farm side. At first, when I first was looking into it, I'm like, yeah, they seem kind of shady. It's an insurance company. They're just trying to make money. Well, of course they're trying to make money. They're a company. And when you're held, when your rates are held down artificially by certain policies in the state government, it restricts you from being able to do things the way you got to do it. You know, there's a big risk. Okay, you got wildfires all the time in California. You got the crazy droughts, the floods. You know what the risks are compared to other places don't have these kind of risks. You got to have the insurance adjust for it. I understand that 100%. I totally get it. Now, at a certain point, insurance could be kind of scammy because you're not really going to use it. That's a whole different story. But obvious risk factors should be accounted for. Hey, you live in a place that has fires every year. So if you want property insurance, you might got to pay a little bit more versus if you live in a place that never really has any problems. Some things can happen. Like where I live, there's no earthquakes, there's no wildfires, there's none of that type of stuff. There's no hurricanes, but there might be a tornado occasionally. So sometimes there are natural disasters and you have insurance for that. But if you're living in a place where it's very, very likely to happen, like, I don't know, right in the place where it always happens every single year, like Outer Banks, North Carolina, some of these hills in California, really dry, hot places, you might have to pay a higher premium. And if you can't pay a higher premium because of what the state says, then what are you to do? I can't call it, but I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about what State Farm is doing here by refusing to accept any new applications for business or personal property insurance. Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I understand why they're doing this. The logical conclusion, without California getting in the way with their pesky laws, would be raise the rates. Living in a high risk area, it is what it is. If you don't want to pay the higher rates, if you don't want to have the higher risk, don't live in the high risk area. Hey, you know what? I don't like hurricanes, so I'm not going to live right on the beach where a hurricane hits every 2 to 3 years. It's just kind of simple. You know what? I don't like floods, so I'm not going to move to a place that is below sea level that is always in danger of flooding. That's just me. That's just my common sense brain working. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.